Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books. Tonight we're talking about Warner Brothers Discovery doing layoffs again. Word is out that as soon as next week, a lot of people are potentially getting laid off. A lot of people, particularly from their ad sales across multiple divisions. We're going to get into the article. Before we do get into the article from Insider, be sure to subscribe to the channel, click the bell for notifications, give me a thumbs up when you like it. It really is a huge help and very, very appreciated. All right, from Insider, Warner Brothers Discovery insiders are bracing for more layoffs in the days ahead as the company looks to cut global ad sales force. Warner Brothers Discovery insiders are nervously bracing for the latest in a series of rolling layoffs. You know, at this point, anybody who works with or for Warner Brothers Discovery, no matter what position you are, whether you're an animator or you're an executive, unless you're part of David Zaslav's top inside crew, you got to be wondering, are they going to lay you off or not? But they're bracing now for the latest in the series of rolling layoffs, with the next round expected to hit the ad sales staffers starting as early as next week, just a few days from now. The cuts come as part of a broader ongoing restructuring at Warner Brothers Discovery, which is under pressure to achieve the $3 billion in cost savings promised from Discovery's April acquisition of WarnerMedia. Now, that is true. It is true. We just covered this yesterday, that they've got this incredible guy, Gunnar Wiedenfels, their chief financial officer. Really aggressive, really talented, knows exactly how to get things done and how to deliver on promises. And has been Zaslav's right-hand man since before this merger with WarnerMedia. They planned out how they're going to save at least $3 billion in this acquisition. They're going to do it. The last time I did a major acquisition together was this company Scripps, which has a lot of cable channels, and they saved something like $1 billion. But it was smaller. It was like a $14 billion company, but a third of the size of the acquisition of WarnerMedia. So can Gunnar pull it off? Of course. They know what they're doing. They already planned it out. 4 people told Insider they're expecting news of more extensive layoffs at Warner Brothers Discovery, and they're looking to configure multiple business units. They're going to restructure sales throughout Warner Brothers Entertainment with HBO and HBO Max, Turner, CNN, and Discovery under a single sales structure. So they currently have independent sales forces and managers selling they're advertising and selling under different units. And the concept now for them is do we really need to have all these separate units? Obviously, this guy Gunnar is no, they don't need that. So they're not going to have that. Because the idea is, if you have a relationship with a customer, let's say you're selling advertising at CNN, and they're doing whatever their advertising is, car company or even direct response for MyPillow, whatever you're going to sell, that relationship can be extended to all the other brands they have. And they can say, hey, well, we already do this with you at CNN. Why don't you try this advertising with us at Turner? We'll give you this incentive. Or try some of our Discovery titles, that they can sell. There's a huge advantage to the business and a lot less expense. So why would they not do that? There are also some questions over how the company's new approach to selling advertising will land. Deals that were previously sold by Content Vertical are now instead going to be sold across the company's vast content portfolio, which spans lifestyle, news, and sports. So this is exactly what I was just saying is, rather than having just the CNN ad sales for advertising on the CNN network or just people on the Discovery networks individually, they're going to have people, that's what I mean by vertical, one brand, selling multi-brand. So they can go ahead, they can look at the whole group of sales teams, look at all their managers and say, okay, who are the winners? Who are the killers? Who are the people that are just here for the heck of it? Get the best people and then empower them to also even make more money, because now they're not just limited to selling one vertical, one brand, Turner's brand, Discovery's brand, or CNN's brand. It makes a hell of a lot of sense. The former Turner ad sales unit, now under Chief Warner Brothers Discovery ad sales chief John Steinhoff, has already shed a host of top executives after the company began offering buyouts to global ad sales force of about 3,000 with a goal of cutting 30% from those teams, which is amazing. So that's 1,000 people. And a lot of people, they had something like $208 million in the last quarter that they took as expense for giving people severance pay and other related expenses for letting people go. So they really are going to get rid of at least 1,000 people. That was actually published a little while ago, a couple months ago, that the goal was cut 30% of the advertising sales force, which is funny because you think, don't you want to bring in money? Like, yes, but it's not just a matter of having sales reps, it's how you're organized to be able to do it properly. One source told Insider that many former WarnerMedia sales executives were earning as much more than their Discovery counterparts, because at Discovery they watch their money closer than WarnerMedia does, and therefore opted for big buyouts that were hard to refuse. During its first quarterly earnings report as a new company, Warner Bros. Discovery said that restructuring costs totaled $1 billion. And that included writing off content they didn't like, not even including Batgirl, but shows they didn't like, stuff that was work in progress, that were like, nah, we don't want to do this. $1 billion so far. There will be additional restructuring costs. God knows how much. A lot. Meanwhile, leadership has been scrambling to find roles for people they want to keep, one insider said. Now, this is something else I've said in other videos is, if you're working in a company and you're great, not how you look, not what gender you are or whatever, if you're popular, if you really get your job done, if your merit value is strong, the company will find a place for you. But for people who just, like, when you see, like, oh, this person got fired, that person got fired, this person's laid off, they don't need them. They're not great. I mean, that's just it. And sometimes it's just not a fit for the person because they change how they do it. Like, so if they have a smaller number of employees to manage, for example, and they have a lot of managers, they may look at it and say, like, well, I mean, this person's really good, but we don't really have a position for them anymore. But if they're phenomenal, they find a position. Among big names that have already left the company are Katrina Kujaj, who led the company's prior upfront presentation, so that's for advertising sales, as WarnerMedia's lead ad sales and client partnerships. Karen Grinthal, EVP National Sales, is retiring, according to Variety report this week. So those people are going, and when it's time to go, it's time to go. But I know I said this before, when they say they want to, make their cuts and find people to let go, they're going to do it. There's no slowing them down. There's no stopping them. Now, this is interesting. This is coming from Television Business International. Warner Bros. Discovery firing up third-party distribution as fast push emerges. So the third-party distribution is basically a complete change in strategy from what they were doing at HBO Max before the company was merged into and now managed by the Discovery people, where they were trying to produce content and keep all their content for their own HBO Max platform. But the Discovery people are too sharp for that. They're like, okay, fine, we'll build HBO Max. We like it. However, if we can make some money selling other stuff on the side, we're going to do that. Right into the article. Warner Bros. Discovery is firing up its third-party distribution efforts and exploring a push into fast channels as it looks to increase revenues. I know what you're thinking. What is fast channels? We're going to get into it. Warner Bros. Discovery is in the midst of a vast restructuring and cost-cutting exercise following the $43 billion merger between Discovery and WarnerMedia, but the company's CFO, Chief Financial Officer, Gunnar Wiedfeldt, we like him, defended programming cuts while also pointing to untapped potential on library sales. WarnerMedia has slashed third-party content sales over recent years in order to feed content into streamer HBO Max. But CEO David Zaslav said earlier this year he wanted to return to international sales. And the reason really being is when you do international sales and you sell to other places other than your own outlets, you can a lot of times cover the cost of production of everything you're doing, like just so that as if it was free. So if they sell international to other places and they keep domestic or other markets or whatever, they can make a ton of money. And it's very viable. And not everything has to be, a monster hit. Wiedenfeld, whose company owns shows ranging from House of the Dragon and Succession to Scooby-Doo, Doom Patrol, and Mythbusters, told the Bank of America Media Communications Entertainment Conference that expanded distribution strategy is now in play. Right now. Quote, I think the opportunity is enormous, he said, when asked about the potential of third-party licensing. I almost view this as a Boeing 747 flying on one engine, and we're firing up the other three. There is so much opportunity. So that's a nice way of saying the other guys kind of didn't know what they're doing. Their strategy is silly, and now the Discovery guys feel like this new strategy is not silly, is going to work. And to me, tell me what you think in the comments below. To me, it sounds like it makes all the sense in the world. It's going to be a strong company. And I just love that these guys are focused on merit, 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 and nothing but merit. Because really, that's what it takes to be successful, and they're doing it. TBI understands that while WarnerMedia had reduced content distribution in recent years, deals were still available, but fewer in number. Wasn't a focus for them. And Wiedenfeld's admitted that returning to the process doesn't happen overnight. No, because relationships got burned. And, it's great if you have content to sell and you want to sell it to multiple markets. It's even better if the content is really in demand. The problem is when you break those relationships, for one thing, your customer can get a little offended. But for another thing, like, they're out of the flow. They've already found other content, right? They've already found other sources. So, they're going to have to really get focused and figure out how to open up some of those channels again. He added that Warner Bros. Discovery possessed the ability to get the best return on every dollar of content spent and has a ton of content that's been sitting idly for just precisely principal reasons. We're firing this up. So they have a lot of missed sales as far as he's concerned. Wiedenfeld said there's been a lot of demand and a lot of interest across all the distribution windows, and I think this is going to start flowing through. It doesn't happen overnight, but we're open for business, as David Zaslav said. The CFO, their content cuts. The CFO addressed high-profile cuts to movies. CFO is Wiedenfeld. Such as the decision to write off Batgirl for $90 million already being spent on the film, saying some coverage has been blown out of proportion. So he's said this, and we covered this before, it's a creative issue, and creative and getting the value out of the intellectual property and protecting the brand is what it's all about for them. Warner Bros. Discovery has also previously revealed plans to expand into FAST channels, and the company's CFO admitted that area of business offered more potential to squeeze revenue from IP. The number one priority is getting this combined subscription video on demand, which basically is just like Netflix. That's what SVOD is. When you pay a fixed amount every month and you have unlimited access as a consumer to whatever the content library is. Okay? So he wants to get the product out there with the established tiered structure of completely ad-free and an ad-light tier. Ad video on demand is AVOD. That means you have to watch the ads to get to see all the content, like advertising on YouTube. He said, adding, we have so much content, and there is a segment, no doubt, in pretty much every market that's not going to be willing to pay. You could argue we're participating in that market through a licensing deal with other players, but there's always going to be an abundance of content, and we're convinced that there's a place for us to play here. Again, the first priority is to get the SVOD product launched, subscription, paid, but in the spirit of utilizing the content across many platforms and offerings as many platforms and offerings as possible. FAST is certainly a very interesting area to play. And so you see these guys, they know what they're doing. They're aggressive about it. There will be massive layoffs, probably announced next week. I don't know if it's going to be 1,000 employees or what. Right now, it looks like in ad sales divisions for all their major brands, from CNN to HBO Max to all the Turner channels, even at Summit Discovery. But you'll probably see less layoffs at Discovery because the people they're already working with pre-merger, they're going to tend to keep. And you do that because you know those people and you know what they're capable of. The WarnerMedia people are, from the description of the article, overpaid, and they don't know what those people are going to do. And it's also going to be a very different environment where each of the people in the ad sales are going to be selling, like they said, across multiple verticals and multiple brands. So they're going to know who they can use at Discovery already. So the layoffs at the Warner Bros. Discovery advertising sales, I mean, they're probably going to be dramatic. 30% is probably conservative. Well, it's interesting. I'll keep you posted. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Always love to see what you guys have to say. Be sure you're subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up when you like it. That's always so appreciated. It's a big help. And I'll see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.